Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Now, this past weekend we had finally had the Errol Spence Terence Crawford fight, right? And it was, I think, long overdue. And we were all excited, and you could just see the energy going into that fight for everyone was like on the edge of their seats. Couldn't wait to see what was going to happen when the bell rang, and just waiting for the ebb and flow in the fight and seeing how things are going to materialize, right? Unfortunately, though, I think like our Spence got knocked out in that second round. When he got knocked down, I was here, excited, because I root for both guys. So if Spence would have came back and hurt Crawford, I would have been jumping up for Spence, right? But I'm excited because just it's boxing and we're getting a good fight. But what I noticed, right, is at the end of the second, I say probably the end of that third round, the energy kind of shifted from, man, this is an exciting fight, to like, okay, Crawford is really touching Spence up, with some hard counters. And we're watching Spence's face start to bleed and swell. Going to the fourth round, Crawford still, hurting him very badly. Spence is just, coming straight ahead. He can't get out the way. And what happened is, it went from, I think, us as boxing fans, whether you like Spence or Crawford, right? It went from us being excited about watching the fight to being concerned about Errol Spence. The type of damage he was taking. You listen, Errol Spence, he got banged up, right? By the time we got to round, I think into 4 or 5 for me, I was saying stop the fight. I was like, they need to stop it, because Spence just couldn't get away from Crawford, man. Crawford has long arms. He was countering him. He was very accurate, and he was calm. And he saw everything Spence was doing. And Spence just looked slow. He was reaching. He was making a lot of, mistakes. I'm talking about type of mistakes you're not used to really seeing Errol Spence make. But at the same time, at that level, you would think that wouldn't have happened, man. Derrick James wasn't doing what he needed to do to protect Errol Spence. Errol Spence's father, I'm going to go ahead and say that, man, because I was sitting there saying, the father, if that was me, I have 4 sons. And I don't have a problem with these guys wanting to go and fight. But I'll tell you what, if I find they got hit too hard or getting hit too hard or something's going on, I'm jumping into the ring, man. I don't care. Someone try to grab me, man, they're going to get their asses killed. And like, I'm going to murder somebody, man, behind my kids. I'm coming in there. I know you're going to have to kill me to stop me from getting in that ring and saving my child, all right? And when I'm watching that, I'm thinking, okay, Derrick James ain't going to stop the fight. The doctor's not going to stop the fight. Where's Errol Spence's father? He ain't coming in the ring. Anyway, we're going into round 7, round 8. Round 7, I'm like, they should stop it. He almost stopped him at 7. 8, Crawford took the round off. Okay, 9, he's going to stop him, right? So this is my thing. They finally stopped it, right? And now you fast forward to where we are today, a couple of days after the fight. And everyone is reflecting on what they watched. And my thing is, for me, right? Because when I was watching it was sad, man. And it's like, did we just watch Errol Spence take 1 too many punches? Did he take 1 punch too many? That's the question. We know in boxing, it only takes 1 punch to change the outcome of a fight and to really cause an opponent to get irreversible damage. What I'm telling y'all are facts. You think about these guys who've had brain damage, who've received $22 million settlements. Some guys get killed in the ring. They don't get an opportunity to recover. It's rough, man. And now for me to sit here and watch Errol Spence go through what he went through this past weekend, I was already concerned about him and 10, 15 years down the road. You know, what's going to show up with Errol Spence? What's going to show up? With his speech, with his cognitive ability, is he gonna live? And I'm telling you, when you think about the car accident and just the fact that this man was thrown from that vehicle at over 120 miles an hour and landed on concrete, right? Think about that now. He was thrown from a vehicle going at 120 miles an hour. He ejected out of it and slammed on concrete. There are no images available for us to see what Errol Spence looked like after being in that violent accident. So I think for that reason, we just see Errol Spence as the same guy who beat Algieri. And then he has the accident, he comes back and he looks normal. Fights Danny Garcia. Because we didn't get a peek behind the tent flaps of what he really went through. He doesn't really talk a lot about it either. But you just stop for a second and let's think about it. Because I don't think anyone has really stopped to really think about what Errol Spence went through. But they're talking about it now, okay? Because the whole world, people were like, oh, the fight's not really being marketed, it's not being promoted right, oh, it promotes itself, or it doesn't really have the buzz, it lacks the pizzazz. We know that's a big fight, you know, how's it gonna do pay-per-view wise? Let me tell you something. I think the whole world was watching. But I tell you what, there was the right people watching that fight, because now you got these, you know, I'm taking it with a grain of salt, these medical experts who are talking. One guy in particular has done an interview, like a 20, 30-minute interview with a boxing channel. And I don't watch other boxing channels because I'm too busy. But that one got my attention. And I listened to it because there wasn't a bunch of fools on there cussing and carrying on and using inappropriate language and just basically bashing boxers. They can't even intelligently speak on boxing. They can't peel the layers back as far as what you can see and do a proper analysis, right? So I don't watch boxing channels. It's annoying to me. Plus, I don't have patience. But this channel in particular, I was solely listening to what that doctor was saying. And for him to come out and say that Errol Spence shouldn't have, after his car accident, he shouldn't have been fighting. It's saying that he's seeing things. He said basically like it's quite obvious that Errol Spence is suffering from different things, psychological, neurological, all kind of, you know, different things. Basically saying that he shouldn't have been in that damn ring, and he probably should have returned to the boxing ring. But he goes on to kind of tap into a couple of things about the secret society, and as far as money. And when there's that kind of money involved, there are certain people in position who's supposed to uphold integrity and the core values that come with being a physician. But that guy who was that doctor who was actually doing that interview, he said, man, when there's money involved, there's always someone who's willing to clear fighters and allow them to go forward and fight. And when he said that, man, I happen to believe that, because look, man, you can pay when there's money involved. Everybody has a price for certain things. But my thing is, if Errol Spence, like this guy suggested, knew that maybe he wasn't 100%. If, for me, and I'm saying if Derek James is working with Errol Spence day in and day out, even he had to notice some things. They had the open workout during fight week where Derek James and Errol Spence were on the miss, and Derek James hit Errol Spence with a left or right hook, and Errol Spence looked like he buckled. Same type of situation in the ring with Terence Crawford, but he did that. That happened with the mitts. And I remember a bunch of comments like, yo, if Derek James is hitting him like that with the mitts, and Errol Spence can't get out of the way of that, what's Errol Spence going to do when he's in the ring with Terence Crawford and gets hit by Crawford? And to that, I got to say, if Derek James, in my opinion, he would know if there was a deterioration in Errol Spence's performance. He would know if Errol Spence had to take extreme measures to cut weight to get to 147. He would know if Errol Spence was in the best shape possible for this fight. But at the same time, if only the fly on the wall could talk and let us know what conversations took place, if any, about whether Errol Spence should get in that ring or not. Because that whole fight week, Errol Spence didn't look right. The way he was talking didn't sound right. I'm not talking about slurred speech. I'm just talking about almost like I'm doing this because I promised the fans, but I don't want to do it. You know what I'm saying? It's like I have 4 sons, right? My little one, about to be 6, right? He likes fishing. This man want to go out in this Texas heat. 116, 17 degrees with the heat index, right? I'm talking hot. And he'll ask me like say for like today, Daddy, you take me fishing tomorrow? I'm like, yeah, man, take you wherever. And then tomorrow, we don't get out here early, and now we about to roll at 1 o'clock, walk outside. It's like, I don't want to go out in that. And he's looking at me like, hey, you promised. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, oh my God, what am I getting myself into? I know I want to go out there. And then you go out and you do it. And with Errol Spence, I think that was kind of his thing. He promised his fans he would take them fishing. Got himself into the training camp and whatever, realized, it's kind of hot out here. I really want to go through this, but I made a promise. And now I got to see it through. And he signed the contract. He had to deliver. And that's really what I feel went on with Errol Spence, because he said that. I promised the fans, I'm a man of my word. Everything he was saying. If we have another fight at 147. But my thing, another fight maybe, hopefully at 154. He has to talk to Al. So that tells me Errol Spence got to do what Al says. But he's a team player. But when you talk about him getting hit the way he got hit in his face, the way he got beat, the fact that he came out of that car accident with all of that damage to his body, that trauma, things that are showing up now, things that won't show up to down the road, right? You guys are telling me that you're not concerned about Errol Spence and what he's going to be looking like? Maybe a few months from now, maybe a week from now, a few months from now, a year, a few years from now, 10 years down the road. I'm telling you, I really think Errol Spence, I think he took one shot too many this past weekend. And I think more people are going to converge on that topic. Because I was looking at his speech, just before I got on here. I looked at some interviews where he's talking, because I did a video talking about Errol Spence and is it brain damage or is he just, country boy? Because I noticed that he sounded a bit more Southern during the press conferences for Terence Crawford than he sounded before. And I didn't think much of it, but I did notice that he sounded a bit more twangy. But when you come now and you look at it, something seems off with him. People talking about he looked high and stuff like that. You guys need to watch that video that's out there and listen to what these medical experts have to say. I'll just say take it with a grain of salt, but they actually went on record And for them to say the things they were saying, I thought that was very brave. Because now you're suggesting and putting yourself in line for a lawsuit by suggesting that there was foul play on behalf of the Boxing Commission and everyone involved. Basically calling out the secret society. And when you do that, you put yourself in the line of fire. So for that reason, that's why I chose to do this video and mention that video where the doctor was talking. Because he was saying things where I was like, yo, he's obviously not, somebody got him to do an interview, a call-in, without him really understanding what the hell he was getting himself into. Because he just put himself in the line of fire. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying he's wrong. I'm glad he did it because it helped put a different perspective on things. But he just opened himself up to all kind of crap. So I hope he's ready for the blowback. But with Errol Spence, man, to know that he died and got revived after that car accident. To understand exactly what is scar tissue, to understand what that accident did to his skeletal and muscular system, man. And to know that although he said he was feeling good. He said he's, some things here and there. He has some days where he feels something. But as far as him returning to boxing, Danny Garcia, the Yugis, Porter, he felt good, okay. He performed in the ring, outstanding. Right? But maybe some things that are showing up now that didn't rear their head 3 fights ago. And maybe now we're starting to see. And I tell you what, the type of beating that he took from Terence Crawford, let me tell you something. If there was any kind of damage to Errol Spence that hadn't really showed itself yet, that fight with Crawford and the damage he took in that fight, I think he's going to bring it out. And I'm being honest with you. I think it's going to start to show. Because, man, he got himself beat badly, man. You know what I'm saying? Matter of fact, I'll tell you this. He was getting beat so bad that Crawford, I think it was at the end of the 5th or 6th round, he beat Errol Spence so bad in that round that before walking to his corner, he walked over to Errol Spence and touched his glove like, yo, I'm sorry. Or like, yo, you good? Like, just checking on him, Like, you can even see Crawford in the ring. He was like, nah, this isn't what I want. I don't want to do him like that. And it's very unfortunate, man. Very, very unfortunate to see the fight go down the way it did. But I'm very concerned about Errol Spence. The way his face swelled up, the way he was bleeding, the way he's talking, the way his mouth looked, the way his eyes looked. I mean, everything. He almost didn't look like he was in it, like he was into the, like something just wasn't right. So maybe it's reached that point, to where we're going to start seeing, hearing things about Errol Spence that we don't want to hear. So I'll tell anyone out there who's celebrating, who has horrible things to say about Errol Spence, and I understand that a lot of the people who post comments are young and stupid, right? And there's some guys out there and girls with gray hair like me. Look, I got a little gray in my hair, you know what I'm saying? Who haven't outgrown basically their shoe size and behavior. And are effing idiots, right? really try to understand what y'all just watched this weekend. Because what I think we're going to have here is Terence Crawford, where he could be struggling down the road, knowing that he beat on a guy unknowingly, right? Unknowingly beat on a guy who should have never been in that ring and basically could have just been a dead man walking the whole time. And if something happens to Errol Spence, y'all listen to what I'm telling y'all. If something happens to Errol Spence, I'm telling you right now, man. Roberto Duran's not going to be able to handle that. He's not going to be able to handle that, man. Not at all. I don't think he's going to be able to handle it if something happens to Errol Spence, especially if they say they can attribute it to what's the guy's name? If they can attribute it to the damage he took from Terence Crawford. I'm telling you right now, Crawford's not going to be able to handle that, man. So we need to be thinking about, going forward. Terence Crawford, his mental health, how that's going to affect him knowing that maybe his punch or punches is ultimately what led to the demise of Errol Spence health. And I'm just telling you right now, man, it's crazy. I'm looking for something I want to show y'all, man. See if I can find this image. Let me see something. For those of you who are saying, nah, man, we don't think it's that bad, I'm going to tell you, stop thinking. I'm going to be honest with you. Stop thinking. Because it could be that bad. And it's not even a matter about being pessimistic, about being optimistic. It's about being, realistic. And just being realistic about everything, man. Can't find that image. But there's an image of Roberto Duran. I think it's Alfredo Benitez, where Duran is hugging him while he's there, kind of on his deathbed, But I wanted to conclude the video with that image, but I can't find it, which is all good, man. Let me see if I can find it here. Just put something else in. I still don't see it. But at the end of the day, let's wait and see what's going on with Errol Spence. I personally, I don't want to see Errol Spence come back. I don't. Before these doctors were talking, I was like, let him come back. 154, he should be okay. But now you're getting these guys who actually understand and can explain to us what we're seeing. It just doesn't sound like he should be coming back to the sport of boxing at all. That being said, Errol Spence, in my opinion, we should be having the discussion. Did we just watch Errol Spence take one punch too many? And how is that going to affect Terence Crawford if, for some reason, Spence starts to have serious problems, health-wise, immediately following this fight? Stop with all the negativity. Stop with all the buffoonery. People stop acting your shoe size, because I really think this is something that's more serious than what people think. To get hit by a guy like Crawford has one punch knockout power, right? And I do think, like my boy Mills said, Crawford, like he was taking his foot off the gas in some rounds. And I've heard another guy, he referred to him as letting Spence bleed out. Instead of putting it out of his misery, he was carrying him. He didn't want to hurt him anymore. But at the same time, you know, you got to do what he has to do. And you saw he could have been more vicious with finishing Spence. If you notice, he never really jumped on Spence. You know? He never really jumped on him to really hurt him and get him out of there. He wanted to win, but we know how Terence Crawford can be. And that wasn't a if I could kill you, I'll kill you type of finish. That was let me hit him with a couple hard shots, and I pray to God this referee jumps in and stops the fight finally. And he did what he did because Crawford has the power to knock you out cold. And he hit him just hard enough for the referee to stop the fight, but to not have Errol Spence finish on his back out cold. He spared him, and I know he spared him. And anyone who's saying something bad about Crawford, y'all recognize what y'all just saw. And people saying bad things about Spence, recognize what you just saw. Because both of those guys deserve to be praised, man. But I think we need some prayers for Errol Spence because I just have a feeling. Man, I just have a feeling. I put it to you this way, right? I've never been in a car accident. I had a very active lifestyle since a young man. Sports, lifting weights, boxing, running marathons, all that. Right? Since a young guy. I'm 48. I'm still out here running and working out. But I have advanced arthritis throughout my body. I have all kind of shit going on. But that's because I led a very active lifestyle. And it just catches up to you. So I know what I feel in my body. Even when I get up out this chair, it's like, damn. I can only imagine what Errol Spence feels having led an active lifestyle for so many years, training and sparring for so many years, then coming out of that crazy car accident, coming back to boxing to live an active lifestyle, sparring, training, fighting. Doing that to your body after an accident like what he went through. You can only imagine what Errol Spence feels right now. No matter what he tells us. Because I can tell you what I feel. And discomfort, pain, not fun, rolling over, all these tears in my shoulder still. I had surgery. I have scar tissue adhesion. Try to roll over. It's not fun, man. It's painful. I can only imagine what Spence feels, but he doesn't divulge. And what he's feeling now, but we'll never know because he doesn't put that stuff out to the media. But I don't think he's going to return back to the ring. I would pray he does not. And with these doctors that have the hairy eyeball on it now, I hope that the money doesn't talk. And I hope the BS walks. And Errol Spence chills on his ranch with whatever money he made, 25, 30, 40 million for his Crawford fight. Just chill out. He have nothing left to do. He already made a bunch of money in boxing. Don't go out there. Let me tell y'all something. I'm about to end this video. I retired in December 2018. Had a lot of money offered to me to go and work again. A lot of money. On top of me being retired and everything else, right? And I have small sons, so I was like, man, I just can't go out here and chase that money and then be away from the house working like that, you know? It just wasn't a priority for me. So I chilled out, and I have no regrets. I'm thinking about doing something now because I have time. But it's got to be something that doesn't take away from me, from my kids. I don't have the kind of money that Errol Spence has. Let me tell you something. I don't care what lifestyle he's living. He can make the right changes to live within his means and travel around and do things where he can take his family and speak and talk about his career, what he went through, do a movie, do a book. He doesn't need to keep chasing this. I understand he's in position to make a lot of money for just, 36 minutes, man, 48 minutes of work. But your health matters, you know. Your faculty matters. What good is it having all that money if you can't even use it? You understand? Someone else that people don't talk about. I'm about to end up, keep saying about this video. Roger Mayweather. This man boxed. Was a bad boy, man. Won, titles. but he took a lot of damage. And you look at him and how he ended up, man, from a lot of that was from the damage he took in boxing. All that money, training his nephew, all that money, man, and he's gone early, a bit early. I mean, don't get me wrong. Can't question the big man, you know, but he's out of here, can't enjoy nothing. So I think Errol Spence, man, should stop while he's ahead and focus on what's the most important thing. Don't get me wrong, money's nice. It creates a convenience. You can do all the things that most people can't do. And you gotta be nice. But it's also, it's even nicer when you have your health. That being said, did we just watch Errol Spence take one too many punches? One punch too many? I think so. Time will tell. I wish him nothing but the best, but I'm very concerned about him. That being said, y'all keep cool. Shout out to the veterans on 7 continents. In the breeze.